Oh, that's so cool. So I've been trying to work from this little painting here as a little reference because I really like the colours and I like the simplicity of a little house, love that. And I love the texture I've got here in like the grass, the field. And so that's what I've been doing with these ones. So I'm trying to work from this one, take the colours, and almost like work backwards into like trying to remember or like understand how I made this piece. So I can see like there's a slither of orange underneath this greeny colour. So I believe that I started with a kind of orangey base for a lot of the painting because you can see the same orange down here. And so I did the same with these ones, doing like orangey pink backgrounds. This was the first one I did, and in addition I'm also working from this little sketchbook I've got here. This sketchbook is one that I've been taking with me when I go on walks or I go on a little drive, and it's funny because I guess you could call it a notebook. It's a notebook version of a sketchbook, and what I mean by that is when I go outside I'm just trying to take notes on the environment. I'm not trying to like draw it or make it accurate. I'm literally just putting down some of the major like compositional aspects of the landscape and things like telegraph poles here, birds, that sort of thing. And so for these little pieces I've also been referring to this and choosing one of the pages, even though this is like a whole scene, like each page is a scene, but I've selected one side and using that to then use as a little composition. So for instance this one here, which was the first one and probably one of the more confusing compositions anyway, but I will just show you for reference. It was working from it was working from this page here. Pretty much this is actually like there's a road going along here and there's a hill, cliffs, and this bit swoops round and then goes into the distance here. But I was just working from this page, which to be honest isn't the most compositionally strong one to begin with, and I think that's why this one's not really turned out that well. And then I moved on to doing this one here, which is this page, and this is down at Glendale, which is in the south of the island. To be honest, actually all of these references are from the south end because that's where I live on Shetland, in Shetland. And this is like an old abandoned house, so the roof's actually like fallen in. But yeah, just a very simple sketch, and then this is what I've made from it. So again, I was looking at this piece and trying to take reference from it, take notes of the colour and the techniques. And I really like how the house, I don't know how well you can see this, let me just zoom in. So it's got these like brush marks, which I really like, I love that texture. And then just like a few dots to hint at like a doorway, some windows. And I made these fence posts in response to the sketch, and I'm really into the fence post thing at the moment, and as well as that I'm really into doing the wire. I just really like it. I'm pretty pleased with this one. I think this is pretty cute. And then we moved on to this one here. So this is quite literally the view outside my window, but it is referenced. I used this page as a reference, which I went on a walk, and this is like wire here, so I was actually like kind of crouched down as I drew this, and we've got like a few marks just indicating the house on the other side of the loch. There's a loch here, fence posts. That was the reference. And then this is what I have created, which I am really pleased with. Quite a few elements in this one that I really like. As you can see, like I really did try to stick to using the same sort of colour scheme. I'm kind of wondering whether I go back into the loch and do that blue a little bit more defined. Maybe. But yeah, I really like the wire on this. I just love getting like a thin brush and letting the brush leave some places like absent of a mark, because I feel like that's quite like that is kind of how wire appears, you know, certain bits of it catches the light, and so you have these little lines of light. And I loved how this fence post turned out. Hopefully you kind of saw it when I was painting, but I had it down as like a thick fence post, and then I decided that I actually wanted to do a thinner line, so I got my brush full of water and then I ran through it, but then it left this like skinny line in this thicker one, which I love. Like I love that effect. And then another part I love the house because I particularly love the shadow that I did there. I just think that is stunning. It's so simple, but it's just really pleasing. Yeah, I think the one thing I kind of wish the paint is kind of like blotted out here. I kind of wish that wasn't like that, just so it was a really defined line where the shadow ended, but I do really like this one. And then I moved on to this one, which I thought was kind of awkward at points, but I think we've gotten to a nice little result. And I will show you once again which page I was using as reference. So this was the page. If I've got any images or footage from when I sketched these, I'll put them in so you can actually see the locations. Yeah, so I was referencing this page. We've got a house on the hill. We do have some wind turbines here. I didn't put them in, but generally this is the kind of scope I was going for. So 2 fields, another field, and a house. I added in the fence posts, that's not in this sketch, but I quite like this one. I do think like this fence post is maybe not working because we've got this line coming down, which perhaps doesn't need to be here. But my favourite part is probably how the house turned out. I think that's bloody adorable. I've actually become quite obsessed with buildings and houses in the last few weeks. I started adding in these little houses, for instance, like in this one, maybe about like a month or so ago, and before that I'd never put like any sort of buildings in my work, but I think it's actually something that I kind of want to develop. And I think when it comes to like selling pieces or like art that's a bit more lighthearted, the little houses just, I don't know, they just like tug at my heart, so I feel like other people will like them too. And I'm really enjoying like learning how to do them simply like this. I have uploaded a video which I kind of spent a few days doing some studies on houses and things like that. It's definitely something I'm going to continue to try and work and evolve a bit more of a language for, but yeah, I think that's super cute. Really like that. I think that's all for right now. I think I might choose another little painting to use as reference for colours again. Oh, I don't know whether I recorded this one, but I did do this one, which you can see, I think it's so obvious when I'm warming up versus when I'm warmed up. Like, to me, these feel a lot more playful. These images feel like I understand what I'm painting, whereas these two, to me, don't. They feels like there's a lot more sort of questioning here. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking and maybe do a little bit more painting. So I'm going to work from this little card that I made a little while ago, because I really like the colours. I was a big fan of this one. This is where the first little pink, red, blue house combo started coming in. And I've not got this one anymore because I gave it to a friend. So I'm going to have to work from the photo. So I'm going to set that aside and yeah, try and reference these sort of colours. Yeah. Hello, I thought I'd just show face for a second and say thank you for watching this video. I really enjoyed this little exercise because I think in general this year I'm trying to be a bit more intentional with the things I do, including the things I make, and I'm quite an intuitive painter when it comes to colour. Like, I just start with something and I build and it grows, and I really like that process, but at the same time I also would like to be able to learn to use colour intentionally, and I think this has been a good little exercise for doing that and looking into a painting more than I would usually, because a lot of the time I make something and then it goes to the side and I don't always learn a huge amount from it, like after the moment of creation. So I think this has been like a nice exercise to go back into something I've already made and try and deconstruct it and learn from it. So highly recommend. I've also really enjoyed working from my sketchbook and turning those notes on the landscape into little paintings, because that's something else I really want to be able to develop. Like, I think that's a skill, being able to take just little hints of information and turn it into an actual image. But yeah, I've really enjoyed it. I particularly like the more muted ones. I think these are my favourite. Yeah, it's been really fun, and I would actually honestly recommend trying to do this sort of thing if you want to learn more about colour. Yeah, I think that's all I've got to say, to be honest. Yeah, once again, thank you for watching. If you have enjoyed, please subscribe. I'm trying to be more consistent, and yeah, pretty much just trying to be more consistent and get into a bit more of a rhythm making videos. So that's my goal of 2026. So if you enjoyed this, yeah, subscribe, like, and I will see you in another little video. Goodbye.